What's up? What's up? Happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Yeah. What's up? Happy Tuesday, fam. I am uh back in back in studio, is that what they say? Back at home for a minute and uh thankful to be here. So what's up? How's everybody doing? I got YouTube going, Facebook, and TikTok. So what's up, TikTok? It's been a few weeks, and so I'm thankful to get to be here with you guys on this very cold Tuesday. And today is today's a special day because it's my son's birthday. He is 32, which is ridiculous. Uh, since I'm like, still can't believe, I'm as old as I am. But anyway, so yeah, he's 32, and I'm super, super excited for that. And so, anyway, how's it going where you are on this Tuesday? It's very cold. We got some snow, just like a lot of you guys did as well. And so it's we're still dealing with it, but we were able to get out, and so we got out yesterday for the first time, really, and we probably could have, but the roads were still kind of pretty terrible, and they're just not quite ever really ready for it. So hey, Ashley, welcome. Angel, welcome. Uh, and so, but anyway, we made it. We made it. And listen, it don't hurt my feelings to be at home for a few days. I like it. The way work is, it's busy, which I love. And so, but I love being, I got to turn this just a little bit. There we go. That's better. I love getting to just be home and chill and kind of recharge. And so that's what I feel like I was able to do. So that was a blessing for sure. And so, but comes a point where you know, I needed to get out. So we we escaped last night and went and had dinner. And right, Angel, yeah, I can be home for several days. It was nice. I'm thankful for the warmth, and we had heat and had hot water and food and all the essentials. So it was a blessing. And so yeah, I I didn't hate it. So, but anyway, so today was able to get out and kind of get to some places. And hey, Amanda, welcome in. Arian, welcome. So glad you got to be here with me. Gosh, it feels like I haven't seen you in forever, Arian. So we got to try to fix that. So uh, anyway, so I hope you're doing well wherever you are, and hope you're warm and all those things. And so I am, like I said, it was just nice to get out for a little earlier. I got out and hit the road and maneuvered through some stuff, and so that was cool. That was really, really good. So anyway, so Tuesday, my favorite day. Welcome in. If you're just jumping on, thank you for being here. Thank you for spending a little bit of time with me. And I am. I was just talking to Angel, and was such a blessing, a right on time conversation, and I love that. But uh, still dealing with this sinus crud, and but so much better than I was, and so thankful for that too. So, but I uh, was just, I was just telling Angel, I was like, uh, okay, God, what are we going to talk about? She asked me, she's like, what are you going to talk about? And I was like, I don't know. He don't always tell me till we we get here and we get into it. So he knows how I am, I guess. He just doesn't want me to fool with it too much. Just press the button, Tom, and let's go. So um happy Tuesday. I love y'all so much. I'm thankful. And I uh, we're we were talking about uh, growth and just sometimes how we meaning me, uh, we don't always recognize our growth, and I think sometimes the enemy can use that against us because we don't recognize our growth, and we're still pushing towards growth, right? We're pushing towards this goal or this next thing or this next whatever, next. And the enemy can definitely get us tripped up if can stay there. And so it was such a good reminder because I get guilty of not celebrating the growth that I'm in right now, celebrating the growth that I've come through. Last year was such a fast year. There was so much growth that happened, so much that God allowed me to do, and so many things that just it made the year fly by. And so um I get just in my head sometimes about just continuing to push for the growth that's still coming, and forget, like I said, about the growth that I'm literally standing in. And 2025, there was so much growth. And Destiny, thank you for being here, love you. Uh and and so there was so much growth in 2025, and God allowed me to do so many big things. They were big for me. And so um I have to be careful to celebrate that growth and not get tripped up on like a dangling carrot that's just out of reach that I can never get to. But God will continue to pull us forward. Um, and it's not a game. It's not it's not uh, uh, manipulative. He's pulling us into our next. But we have to celebrate our growth, celebrate where we are. And I was sharing with Angel, it's like layers, like an onion. I hate onion, but only to use as an example. And so, but an onion has layers to it, right? And so you peel back one layer and it exposes another layer. And so just when you think you've been vulnerable about something, you've been healed from something, then that layer's gone and here comes something else. And so celebrate your wins. That's the message today is celebrate your wins, celebrate your growth, and don't get tripped up about what's still coming. We can't stay here, but we also can't not be thankful for the growth that we have. And so, God, forgive me for not recognizing the growth. Forgive me for getting in my head and always be looking for the next. It's kind of like a kid at Christmas, right? You can give them, uh, you know, 75 presents that are all wrapped really nice and cute and whatever, and they tear through them. And what's next? What's next? What's next? Um, and so God help me to mature enough to be able to sit in the growth for a minute, to be able to say, thank you, God, for the growth that I've experienced. Sometimes other people can see it around us, but we don't see it for ourselves. And we get in our head about it, and we start feeling vulnerable. We share something, and Pastor Connie in the house, what's up? And so um, I think it can be a trap of the enemy is that we don't take time to appreciate the growth, to recognize the growth, to celebrate the growth. And for me, it gives me strength to keep going, to keep pushing in a positive way. Because if we don't, then the enemy's just going to keep playing this reel over and over and over and over and over and over in our head. And we just keep letting him do it. And, those half-hearted prayers where, I've been guilty of praying, and trying to make the enemy leave me alone. And it's like you just push him away and he comes right back. And um, so today I choose to celebrate the growth that God has brought me through. Um, and that's not being, uh self-centered. It's not being, whatever. It's I think that's a form of worship, y'all. That is such a powerful form of worship when you can stand in your growth and say, "Thank you, God. Thank you, God, for this growth. Thank you for the people that left my life. Thank you for the situations that I've matured into and I don't react like I used to react. Thank you, God, for allowing me to believe that I could do XYZ. And thank you, God, for giving me this opportunity to do what you called me to do. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to do something I've never done before, even though I didn't even know what I was doing." Um, and it can really literally be a form of worship that we can stand in it and say, "God, man, thank you. Thank you." And use it as energy, use it as strength for what's coming next, the next layer that's going to come off, that's going to expose us, um, to you know to ourselves. I don't know, if any of you've been really bad sunburned before. A lot of us have. It's not good for us, but when you get really bad sunburn, um, that top layer of your skin eventually starts coming off, right? And you can peel it, and you can see it coming off. And when it comes off, what's underneath is very tender, and it's very it's sometimes if you have a bad enough burn, it's just very tender. And so we're exposed to it. That layer of skin is exposed, and sometimes it can hurt. Your clothes hurt when it touches it. And so sometimes growth is like that when we're vulnerable, and we choose to open up and we choose to, press and push through. Um, I think it can make us feel that way. And then what do? We get down on ourselves and we start beating ourselves up because, we feel like we've lost a battle, and we feel like, we should be further than we are, and why does this keep happening? And Julia, welcome in. Uh uh I'm so glad you're here from Ohio. That's amazing. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Tuesday with Tom. Uh and so I want to challenge you. This is only Tuesday, so I want to challenge you this week to uh, understand and recognize. Um, uh, Minor, welcome, 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 welcome. Uh, Recognize the growth that you've experienced. Maybe it's just this week. Maybe it's this month. We're almost through January, and I see some people saying January's been like 706 days, but man, for me it feels like it's been 5 minutes because January was busy. But I want to challenge you for the rest of this week. Uh, Practice understanding and practice being thankful for your growth. Because the things that we've come through, the things that we made it through, that maybe I was just telling this to Angel just a few minutes ago. Um, there are things that I made it through that a previous version of me would never have been able to make it through that. A previous version of me, the Tom of 2021, say, would not have been able to make it through the things that I made it through last week, the week before. So I have to recognize that growth to understand, God, I might not be where I want to be, but I'm not where I was. the things that the enemy tried to take me out with, it didn't work. And I'm thankful for that, God, because there is an old version of me that would have been easily taken out by that. And so just because we go through things don't mean that God doesn't hear us and God doesn't he isn't with us and all those things that the enemy lies to us about, oh, this is hard. This is a hard thing. Um, God, I'm not hearing you like I want to hear you. Uh, maybe we're not spending enough time praying. Maybe we're not spending the time, whatever that looks like. And so, um, uh, uh, I was praying the other day and just kind of feeling like that, God, I want to hear you, God. I need to hear you. Um, and he said, I'm always speaking to you. You just don't always hear me. You just don't always hear me. And so, when I was talking to Angel a while ago, this is such a great point. Thank you, God, for helping me remember this. But I was talking to Angel on the phone a while ago. Y'all, we were conversating, right? I could hear her and she could hear me. Well, for some reason, she accidentally put herself on mute. And so she muted herself. And so she could hear me, but I couldn't hear her because she had muted herself. And she just kept talking, and I was, looking, I was like, because I was in the car and I was like, did I hit something? What's happening? And so I took her off the car, off the speaker and um held up the phone and it took her just a minute to figure out what she had done. And she is like, oh my gosh, I'm so crazy. I accidentally put myself on mute. Come on, y'all. That will preach right there because so many times God is speaking to us, but we have him on mute. We have him on mute. He didn't stop talking. We just lost the ability to hear him for whatever reason. And so um and so what is it so the things that we do sometimes that we put ourselves on mute and then we don't even want to pray. Well, God, you're not hearing me anyway because you're not responding. And so what good is it for me to pray because you're not going to respond? I need, when, hey, Jada, what's up? Welcome. So we sometimes are the problem, you know? And so I feel like how we mute ourselves or how we get in that situation is we don't recognize our growth. We don't celebrate the growth. We don't reach out to God and in worship. There's so many things that are worship to God that we just don't think about. We think that it's got to be, standing in church with our hands raised or a certain feeling or a certain emotion or whatever. And it can be worship can you can feel it. The Bible says that, to bring a sacrifice of praise. But sometimes getting out of your head and understanding the growth that you're standing in is worship to God. And so, like I said, I want to challenge you guys for the rest of this week to really focus on your growth and where God's brought you from and what He's brought you to, and think about that and be thankful for that for the rest of this week, and allow our thoughts to turn to that instead of whatever the other junk that you've been thinking about. Um, fighting this sinus head crud, it it's a distraction. It can be a distraction, right? Because when I was in Atlanta, I couldn't even sleep unless I was, taking medicine, and I hate it because I don't like that. And so I would take medicine and what's up, Chris? And Tasha's in here. Thank y'all for being here. And so, but what it was doing is it was interrupting my sleep. And so then I didn't feel good. And so then it became a physical attack. And so those are just those things that happen. But like I said, I kept pushing, I kept pushing, I kept showing up even when I didn't feel like it. That's growth. That is growth because that's what I was there for. It wasn't to lay in the hotel room and be sick. It was to get in the presence of God and around my family, around people of faith that uh, could help minister to my spirit. So that is growth. Sometimes it's little things where, maybe you would have cussed somebody out. They did something to you, you would have cussed them all the way out, right? Or you would have went back to something that you used to do. You used to drink, and so you'd go drink, or you used to, you had somebody that you would call, and they would side with you every time. And Rochelle, what's up? And uh, so celebrate those times that you didn't go back to something that you normally would have gone back to, something that is comfort. We talk about comfort food. In the South, we comfort food, mashed potatoes and gravy, and cold whatever, soups, and whatever. But uh not doing those things is cause to celebrate. It's cause to celebrate because you can understand your growth, and you can understand that, um, you know what may have taken you out before didn't this time, and so that's that's what I'm choosing. I'm choosing to celebrate the growth that God's given me, and and allow it to give me strength for the things that's still coming. God, help me to focus on the things that I need to focus on. Help me to not be scattered everywhere. Help me to focus on what I need to focus on in this season. Help me to focus on the things that I need to do. And hey, Tanya, what's up? Welcome, welcome. And God, I'm gonna choose to give you praise for the growth that you've given me. Thank you for allowing me this opportunity to, do the things that you've brought into my life. Um, y'all know I started publishing books for other people, and they're writing, and God's bringing people in my life, and these stories are so good and so helpful and so powerful that there's people that need these books, these stories, this information. And so, but there's people that's been sitting on it for 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, just sitting on it. They have this story that literally can help other people, but for whatever reason, they just didn't. It wasn't priority. They didn't know what to do. They didn't know how to start, how to do it, all these things. And so, um, uh, but then God will connect you to the right people that can help you bring it out of you, and be able to look at it from a different way, and be able to you know offer suggestions. Have you thought about this? What about that? Let's try this. And so it gives you that uh and so the growth from that is that they actually stepped out and did it. They actually stopped waiting, and they chose to release this story. Um, and I always say, yes, I want to be on the New York bestseller list. I've written 3 books, but if it never happens, then if it touches one person, then that was worth it. And they have. And so, then I've done what I was supposed to do, and I was faithful, and that is growth. When you can step out and you can be vulnerable and you can do the things that God's telling you to do, then that's growth. And so yes, Ashley, I can help you from start to finish. Absolutely. And there's some things I feel like God is wanting me to do. I do have a writing class that's online that I created, But I think maybe it needs to maybe be revamped a little bit, because there's so many of you that ask that. Where do I start? I don't know how to start. I don't know what to do, where to start writing. And so it uh, once you just start doing it, baby doll she man, she was a reading machine this past weekend. And it encouraged her to start writing. And as she started writing, then it just starts flowing. And so many of you are like that. And so it's just taking that moment to just start, dedicating time every day to write, dedicating a space in your home to start writing, and then understanding that that's growth, and practice that growth, and worship in that growth. God, thank you that today I wrote something. I started journaling, or I started doing whatever, because now this is coming out of me. And I'm going to worship you in the growth that I would never have done this before. And yes, Chris Foster, I know you do. You need to. But it's just making that time, making, that space that you're going to do it, and then do it. It takes so much determination, um, and but just starting makes it. It always made me feel proud that I started. And so um, my take is a little different, because as far as writing goes, because I approach it a little bit different, because one of the first book started out, I was just journaling. I was just journaling. And um yeah, exactly, Julia. Just do it. Just do it. But I just started journaling, y'all. I never thought that it was gonna be a book at first. I just started journaling. I would hear God speak, and I would journal, 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 journal. And then I would pay attention to God, right? And uh, okay, Amanda, that's exciting. And then I was obedient when God would speak to me to share with someone. Then I would share. Sometimes I would be able to speak it to them. Sometimes I would just have to share, however. But I try to be obedient when I felt like, the Holy Spirit wanted me to share. I would share. And then by doing that, that growth, and doing the things that I felt like he told me to do, then it encouraged me to keep going. It encouraged me. People would start saying, "This is so good. Keep going. This needs to be a book." And I was like, "Oh, sure, right." Like I don't even know nothing about that. And and so I would just keep being obedient, and that growth, that consistency, that showing up, that continuing to do what God told me to do. He didn't tell anybody else to do it. It was my assignment. I had to write, and I had to do what he told me to do, because I felt like that it was my assignment, and that there were people who needed what he gave me, the way he gave it to me, the vessel that he made me to be. People needed that. And I had to get past that. Like, God, why are you telling me this? You know, because we're all so unique. We're all so individual. We're all so, expertly put together, that we can deliver something in a way that somebody's going to get it. Oh, I've heard this 500 times, and now I finally get it, right? It's like our kids, right? I've been telling you that for 12 years, and now today, really, you get it. But that's just sometimes how we are. And so then, and I've told this story before, I was sitting here in this room that I'm at right now, and I was across the room. There's a chair in that corner, and I was praying, I was praying, I was praying. God, just help me with this book, whatever I'm supposed to do, and I don't know how to start, uh, I had it was handwritten. He said, "Well, you can't publish a book that's handwritten. Like, you have to put it in some type of, there's another form. You got to get over there and start typing it." And that's how he talked to me. And so I was like, Boom. Okay. Message received. I hear you, God. And I did. I literally got up and I came over here and I grabbed my book that was the only place it was written, y'all. One place. This heavenly download that he gave me was only in one place and it was in written form. If something would have spilled on it or if I would have misplaced it or whatever, it would have been gone because it was nowhere else. Hey, Susan, what's up? Thank you for jumping on with me. And so I had to treat that like the gift that it was. Y'all, that was growth. And so by my obedience, and I came over here and I started typing, that showed growth. That showed my obedience to God and the thing that He had given me to do. And so it was a hellacious process. I did not enjoy it the first time figuring out how to publish and how to do all those things and go through all those steps. It was growth. I did not like it. It was like, getting in the gym and doing a million push-ups or sit-ups or whatever. Um, I was exercising muscles that I had not exercised ever, maybe before. They were here. I was equipped. He gave me what I needed to have to be able to accomplish the goal, the growth, the thing that he called me to do. And so, but I had to be obedient and I had to be over here and I had to start typing. And that's what I did. I started typing and uh and then once I got it all together, then I had to figure out the next step. What's that look like? There was somebody that I did reach out to, and I got a 15-minute consultation, and they said, start here, do this. They gave me half good information, and half, for me, it wasn't good information, but it was just enough to uh, get me going, right? And so, yes, absolutely, he does work in mysterious ways. And so, uh, so the person I thought was going to help me didn't help me because God had other plans. And so I didn't understand what that plan was at that moment, but I had to sit here hours and hours and hours and research and doing things that I didn't know how to do and looking up stuff and trial and error and um and again, I felt like it was such an assignment. I had been given this gift from God that I knew I couldn't just keep to me. And so I had to push past that uncomfortableness of not knowing what I was doing. Because y'all, sometimes that excuse doesn't work anymore. I don't know what I'm doing. God does not care. He does not care that you do not know what you're doing because it is your assignment and you've got to figure it out. And Rochelle knows exactly what I'm talking about because Rochelle, she bought the class. She wanted to do this on her own. I sent her the information and blood, sweat, and tears. And sometimes all at once, I'm sure. She crawled and clawed and pushed herself beyond what limits she thought she even had. And she did it. And so, because again, it's this assignment that he gave you, and so it becomes more it gets to the point where it's not about you anymore in some levels, right? You have to keep going and you have an assignment that you have to do, right, baby doll? Come on. And so we have to just, okay, God, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm going to try to figure it out. I'm going to figure it out because then you start getting that determination where you're like, no, I'm going to figure this out one way or the other. And so that's what I did. I pushed and pushed and pushed and I researched and I trial and error. This didn't work. And I would be so frustrated. Um, um, I hired somebody to do the book cover for me that was halfway across the world. He's literally was in Pakistan and he made money off something that probably took him 30 minutes at the most to do. Um, and so that's all right. I figured it out. I got what I needed. And so then guess what? Then I screwed it up a little bit. I changed some stuff and then the cover that he made didn't fit anymore. And so, uh, right, baby doll, come on. And so, uh, yeah, that's right, Arian. We have to surrender for sure. But, but, um, so then guess what? Then I had to go back to him and say, now this cover doesn't fit like it's supposed to. Um, because I had changed some stuff, right? And so I had to go back to him. I had to pay a little more money and he fixed it. And but again, I didn't realize what was happening. I didn't realize what I was doing. I didn't realize that you can't, once you get to a certain point, you got to leave it alone. And then this piece is going to fit. If you cut part of the puzzle, then it's not going to fit right. And so I had to go through that process. And so I'm celebrating that growth because now I have 3 books and now I'm helping other people publish their books. And because of the things I've gone through, I know what looks professional. I know the things that should be where. And I'm still being challenged. And different people are bringing different things and different projects and different things that it's still challenging me. And I'm still having to say, okay, now this I haven't had this exact thing. So, okay, where does this go in the flow of things? And so now I figure it out. Now I'm much more confident that I can say, okay, now I got this. But just the other day, it was like, oh, I haven't done this before. This feels uncomfortable. I don't, can I do this? Yes, I can do this. I have examples all around me, y'all back here. I have a bookshelf full of books. Uh, some I helped, publish, and some I didn't. But they're still examples to me. They're all around me in this room that I'm sitting in, um, and I have my own examples of the books that I've written. And so sometimes I have to pick that back up, and I have to say, okay, God, speak to me again through something that you've already given me once. And he will, and it's fresh and it's new. That's growth. That's celebrating growth that I'm in, that now, like I said, I can use this ministry, this gift to help other people to say, you can do this and I can help you. And so I don't want this. You can't use that as an excuse anymore that you don't know how, because now you know somebody who does know how. And so, so that growth is something that I can use as worship to say, God, thank you that you didn't let me give up. Pastor Kim was like, Thom, you totally have a choice. You could have totally given up, but I didn't feel like that was an option, right? Giving up is not an option around here. We're going. And so there are days where we don't know. I don't want to, God. I don't. But those of you that are working out, Arian, I know, has been faithful and she's been going and showing up and working out. And God's given her a community and God's given her people that speak into her life and that encourage her to keep going, keep pushing, keep pushing yourself. And that's a powerful thing. It's growth. That is growth. And so understanding that we need to remind ourselves that of from where we were and where we're standing right now. Because yes, I love that. We can do all things through Christ who gives us strength. And I had to say that a lot of times, just like probably most of you have too. And y'all, there were some times where I'm like, who even wants to read this, God? Who even cares? Who even wants to read this? But that wasn't the assignment. The assignment was, if you build it, they will come, basically, right? And that was the assignment, was just to do it. Yeah, absolutely. God gives us the resources. Sometimes we just have to figure out how to use them. And sometimes they don't look like we thought they'd look. and Rochelle's on here, and I'm so proud of her because she literally did. She pushed, 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 and she had, excuse me, every once in a while I'd hear from her. She'd send me a message, and I could tell she was frustrated. Uh, and I'd try to answer the question if I could, and then I'd pray, God, give her strength. God, help her to keep pushing because I know it's tough. It's hard right now. And then one night, one Friday night, she messaged me, and it was just that final hurdle that she was having trouble with, and something just came up in me and I was like, no, 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 no. And so I called her and I was on the phone with her for a little bit over an hour and we figured it out. And that's what I told her. I was like, this baby's gonna be born tonight. And it was. And just that push, just being there to say, no, we're gonna figure this out together. I'm gonna help you and we're gonna get this done. This is the last thing. And uh and uh being in that situation myself, I understood it. And so being able to be on the phone with her as she pushed that baby out, because that's literally what happened, is she delivered the thing that God had given her. And um it was such a powerful moment. It was such a precious moment. Literally, like I was in the room when both of my kids were born. There's nothing like it. Uh, especially the first one. Today's my son's birthday. If you missed that part, he's 32, y'all. I can't believe it. But I'll never forget the moment he was born, and he was here. And it was a long labor and delivery. And you know and so um but but man, mama did good. She did the things that she was supposed to do, and he was born. And I'll never forget that moment of just feeling that moment hit me of, oh my God, now he's here. Now I'm a father. Now I'm a parent. Now I have this responsibility. Um, and so sometimes our ministries are like that too. Sometimes it just, they finally get delivered and they're out, and we pushed, and we were able to, hit the button and do whatever it was. Um, write that song, share that thing that God shared, that part of your testimony that you never shared, exercising that growth that you have, is powerful. And so we can either choose to sit and keep beating ourselves up and not recognizing the growth, or we can stand 10 toes down and say, God, thank you for uh allowing me to be in this space. Thank you for allowing me to be here right now. And there's so many stories, and you guys have them, I know you do, about things like this. But I want you to celebrate your growth. God, help me to see it. Help me to recognize the growth that I have in my life, and the growth that you blessed me with, God. And the things that I'm doing that I would have never been able to do before. Now I'm doing it. And like I said, being able to help others is, hey Donna, what's up? Welcome. It's powerful, you guys. When God has blessed you with a talent, when God has blessed you with a passion and a ministry that you can help other people, it's just a blessing. And like I said, to be able to pull it all together, uh, and really just kind of wrap it all up, and be able to say, okay, here you go. Um, here's your baby. Just like the nurses and the doctors that work in the OB, and the all the things. I mean, there's so many things they do now that's 32 years ago they didn't do. You know, but thankfully both my children were healthy, and didn't need anything past really normal things. But now God is allowing me to do these things, and uh, and yes, I have to remind myself of the growth that I have, and remind myself that I can't do this in myself. anyway. I have to trust God on the days that I don't feel it, on the days when I've got God on mute and I can't hear him. And um, and so um, I just want to encourage y'all. Joya, you're so welcome. Thank you for that. I want you to be encouraged today that God does hear you. God hears you, but he is speaking to you too, and he wants you to hear him and wants you to understand that he is speaking to you. You just have to take it off mute to be able to receive that and to be able to say, okay, God, when you tell me to do it, I'm going to do it. No matter what it looks like, no matter what it sounds like, if you tell me, then I'm going to do that, God. And so um, sometimes that's hard, but celebrate your win, celebrate your growth, and then use that as momentum and strength to keep pushing yourself forward. And because, like I said, there are times where people may not acknowledge it, but just by you sharing, um, you're helping them. You're helping them, and you're releasing something in them that maybe they didn't even know needed to be released. And so celebrate your growth. Um, Keep pushing, keep going. God does see you. God does hear you. God does love you. And so the things that we go through and the situations that we go through are for our future growth. And and you know, y'all, sometimes I keep taking the same test over and over and over until I get it. And I've said this before on here, but I've really literally said to God, okay, God, I'm not getting it. You're gonna have to dumb it down. You're gonna have to whatever, because I'm not quite getting it. Help me to get it. I don't want to keep taking this test, but help me to get it. Help me to hear you. Help me to do what I'm supposed to do with this, God. Um, and um, Celebrate your growth. Celebrating our growth is a form of worship. And so I don't want the rock or anything else to cry out in my place. And the worship that I'm supposed to give, I want to be able to give that. And so I do that by being obedient, doing the things God's called me to do, helping the people that God's called me to help, even when it pushes me, even when it rubs me, um, all those things. Uh, if I can celebrate it, if I can identify it as growth instead of irritation and punishment and blah, 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 blah. And Bettina, what's up? Bettina's on a cruise and jumped on. Uh, it's so cold here right now. Just you're so lucky to be where you are. And I hope it's amazing and you're doing so having a blast. So but celebrate your growth. You know, we I just started this new job. I've been here 90 days already, so 3 months in, and y'all, I can feel growth. I can feel, some things that I was carrying 90 days ago is lifting off. And there were some things that the enemy was trying to tell me, even professionally. Um, and um, I feel those things coming off me because I'm where I'm supposed to be, because I didn't stay where I was. I could have. It was comfortable. I could have stayed, but I didn't. I had to move forward, and I'm so thankful that I did. Because thank you, Ashley, because there are some things that I can physically feel has come off me. My confidence is better. You know, I feel that, and so it's a blessing. You know, when uh, I am making good connections. I am building strong, healthy relationships. Um, I can do this. And so, um, but if the enemy can keep us stuck where we're not supposed to be, then little by little we just get worn down, and we start, uh, well, this is just as good as it is. I'm gonna be this way forever. But growth, y'all, growth feels so good. And today I choose to celebrate that growth. Like I said, it's another layer of the onion that's peeled off. Um, when when um, when I was in Atlanta for the conference, uh, we did the mastermind. So I'm a part of a mastermind group, and so it's a one-on-one coaching with our pastor, Pastor Real Tuck Kim. She does this mentorship program. It's called the Masterminds, and one-on-one. And so one time a month we have a one-on-one conversation. And so it's just us, and we can share and talk about whatever we need to talk about, and growth and business and spiritual and all the stuff. And I can text her whenever I want to, and if I need something, I can do that. And then we do a group thing once a month too. And um, so, uh, so for the conference that we just came from, uh, the first couple of days was only the masterminds, and so we got to be together, and there was like 12 or 15 of us, and it was such an incredible moment uh, to be surrounded by people that are killing it, man. They're bosses, and they're doing the most incredible things, and the ministries that God has for them. And it's not all about churches and preaching. These are ministries that they're literally helping. They have sober living homes where women are coming out of recovery, and they're giving them a place to stay and help them to get back into society and find jobs and find cars and learn to be independent and those things. And one has homes for children that can be there, and they're protecting these children and doing these things, and somebody else is doing something else. And there's being surrounded by that can be intimidating, right? Because I was like, what am I doing here? Like, what? I'm only publishing books. What's so big about that? But I had to remind myself that God placed me in that room for a reason. And uh, I did have a reason to be there. I did have things that needed to be said from me, and I needed to hear things that were said, and I needed to share things. And so it was such a powerful opportunity. Um, and um, and so, but as we were vulnerable, it was a safe place, and we could be vulnerable, and we shared deep things, and things that, again, it was another layer that came off. But then I felt exposed. I felt, because then the enemy started talking, right? Immediately, immediately, because the enemy does not want us to grow. He doesn't want us to recognize our growth, and he sure doesn't want us to worship God in our growth, because the enemy, the devil, was the leader of worship when he was in heaven. And he got kicked out of heaven because he tried to take over, and God was like, I am the only God. And so um 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 uh immediately the enemy starts just yapping, right? And um, well, now you're vulnerable. Now you've done it. Now you've went and shared, and maybe they didn't know, but now they do know, because now you just more vomited, and shared, and blah blah blah. And um the enemy is such a punk, you know, he's such a punk, and he will make us feel that way, make us feel less than. And um, and so what was such a beautiful moment, that he started trying to use it against me, but it was growth, and he didn't want me to push past that, and he didn't want me to be feel that growth, and do the things with it that he intended, right? Because if we can do the things that he's told us to do, y'all, sometimes it's big, and then the enemy doesn't like it, and he'll come at you. He will come at you. And so, well, now you've just proven you're not worthy to be here. What are you even doing here? And it was just that constant. you know, and so, um, again, a previous version of me would not have been able to withstand that because for me, it felt like it felt like something that I was being attacked with. I was being attacked in my mind and I knew the truth and I had to say the truth and then I got physically sick. And that was another layer on top of it because I'm never sick. I kept saying that over and over and over. I'm never ever sick. And so it just made it worse, I felt like, because then physically I felt weak. And the enemy was just kept punching and punching and punching. And um and yes, when we become vulnerable and when we peel back those layers and we expose ourselves, um uh then then sometimes he'll try to get in and use that against us. But I have to remind myself and the enemy that that was a safe space. I trusted the people that was in that room. And if they choose to do something with that information that is harmful to me, guess what? God don't play about me. So if I truly believe that, then I have to release that and say, God, I trust you that you have my back. You gave me that opportunity to share those things. I felt led to say those things and share and be vulnerable and be able to release some junk, right? So that I could heal. Um, and and so God don't play about you and God don't play about me. So I have to stop trying to control that, y'all. I cannot control what other people think, what other people say, and what other people do. So, if, like I said, if any of them ever did, and I know that they wouldn't, but if they chose to use any of those things against me, then they're going to have to answer to God about it because God don't play about me. So, that is growth. Now, I didn't get it just like that. I didn't get it. It took me a minute. It took me a minute. But understanding and believing and trusting who I am in God, that's my answer, right? That's growth. I'm choosing on today to celebrate and celebrate that growth of something that would have sent me spiraling crazy, balling as well. All of it, all of it, all of it, all of it. And uh and the enemy is such a fat liar. And um uh thank you, Donna. I love that. I love that. But he's such a punk. Um uh Sheila, you're exactly right. You are a God's girl. And um uh we have to, again, we have to understand and grab hold of it for dear life and say, God, don't play about me. And so, if you're a parent, you understand that. I don't play about my kids. And them grandbabies, y'all, I have 4 grandbabies, 2 grandsons and 2 granddaughters. Papa sure don't play about them grandbabies. And and so as much as I love them and as much as I would protect them with my life, that's exactly how God is. That's exactly how it is. And so, that was such a powerful revelation for me to get is, okay, God, now it's out there. Now I can't do anything about it. I shared it in a safe space, what I felt was safe. So, how am I going to now allow the enemy to use that against me, um, in a negative way? But I did. I did for a minute. I allowed that, um, to uh, really, really make me feel, uh, like I was less than, and I shouldn't have shared. And, you know, you only get hurt when you're vulnerable, and you only get hurt when you say too much and you give too much, blah, blah, blah. And I guess and be careful. I want you to hear me. I was in a safe space. I was in the right room with the right people. I didn't just go blabbing this to everybody and say this to whomever. It was the right space, the right time. All of that, those ingredients were there. Um, and so, but if we ever get in a situation where it isn't, God still don't play about us. And so, um, uh, thank you so much, Missy. Uh, I think that that we have to just get a hold of it, and say, God, if you don't play about me, then you got me. You got my back. You got all the things. And so I'm going to choose to not control the situation anymore, God. I'm going to release it to you. And if that information is tries to get used against me, God, you got my back. You're going to you're going to do the things that protect me. You know, uh just like, I was talking about the job, God has my back. God is going to protect me as long as I do what I'm supposed to do, then God will do what he's supposed to do. And so I choose to celebrate my growth. I choose to celebrate that the things that could have taken me out before, they didn't. They didn't. And and so uh thank you, Missy. And he's working through every one of you guys too. In whatever capacity that looks like. Whatever time of life you're in, whatever situations you're in, celebrate your growth. Celebrate that God is not done with you yet. There's still things that he wants for you to do. And um uh, this was such a reminder for myself, y'all. I'm so preaching to me too, because um, the enemy's such a punk. He's such a punk, and um, he will try to keep us off track, right? And so we have to choose to keep going, choose to push, and not get derailed no matter what. So y'all, you ain't seen nothing yet. Uh, my growth is getting ready to get magnified by 100 times, and so is yours, because I trust God. This is his business. This is his ministry. This is his whatever. Um, Come on, Chris Foster. I'm glad. Uh, and Sheila, God sees you. God sees your tenacity. God sees your consistency. He sees you showing up when no one else shows up. And so we have to keep doing the things that God tells us to do, and um, watch him bless. Watch him bless it. And so 2025, I've shared with y'all before, was fast track. This year it's expansion. And man, with expansion, I'm already feeling it. But it's coming. And guess what? I'm gonna be ready when the next thing comes, the next moment, the next area of growth comes. I'm gonna be ready for it. And having good conversations with God and saying, God, you have my yes. God, you have my yes. And if there are people in my life that aren't supposed to be there, then God, help them to fall off, help them to get out, help me to see what you want me to see, help me to hear what you want me to hear, and help me say what you want me to say. Help me be that instrument, that vessel that will do what you've called me to do, and not worry about anybody else as far as what they're supposed to do, right? Help me to do what I'm supposed to do. And um uh yes, we're going to kick the devil's butt. Absolutely. And that's why community is so important. That's why we need each other. That's why I get on here every week and try to be consistent and faithful to it, and support all of you guys, and um uh but growth, celebrate your growth and watch what God will do with it. So um uh y'all, I'm getting a phone call. I love y'all so much. Thank you for hanging out with me today. I pray this did bless you, and something that I said and shared with you today. But Be blessed, be a blessing to somebody else, and celebrate your growth. I love y'all so much. Have an amazing rest of your week, and I will see you next week. Bye, y'all. I love you. Thank y'all. I love y'all. Well, it's not letting me in.